All right, there's still some folks trickling in, but we'll go ahead and get started with introductions while folks continue to join. Good morning to everyone. Welcome on this very warm Thursday morning if you're in Northern California or pretty much anywhere in the Western US for that matter. We're happy to be back after a brief break for our February 2026 press briefing for our February 2026 temperature update. So before we get started, we'll just have a couple quick introductions. Robert, if you want to go to the next slide. Most everyone here probably is familiar with Berkeley Earth, but just very quick introduction to us and our work. We are an independent California-based 501c3 nonprofit organization. Our work is in climate monitoring and data production. We are the only fully independent organization that produces this level of data and runs a robust climate monitoring program. And we do it to make climate data accessible and applicable to real life contexts for a large number of use cases spanning from research and academia to local governments, community, as well as the private sector. Joining me on the call this morning, I'm Kristen Sissener, Executive Director. We've got Robert Rohde, our Chief Scientist, as well as the Kausfather, Research Scientist with Berkeley Earth, and also Kate Viscara, our behind the scenes wizard who makes all of this possible. So next slide. So the analysis that you'll be seeing today is based on Berkeley Earth's own high resolution data set. This is our core product. It's the highest resolution instrumental observational data set available. We currently offer quarter degree of spatial resolution. We do provide full global coverage with this product. Custom subsets are available by request. We do have off-the-shelf subsets available for more than 8,000 global cities, and we do offer TMIN and TMAX products as well. So this is available open source, open access rather, to the academic community, media, and other researchers. We do provide commercial licenses for commercial partners who are interested in working with this product in their work as well. A couple housekeeping notes before we get started. This briefing will be recorded and a recording will be sent out at the end of this call. The report will also be made available at the end of the briefing, and we will have a link for that in the chat. And we will be taking questions, and we invite you throughout the course of the presentation to put your questions in the Q&A box, and we will get to as many of those as time allows. And I think that's all the housekeeping, and I'll go ahead and pass to Robert to get started.
Oh, hello, everyone. So I'm here to talk about global temperatures and temperature patterns in February of 2026. In Berkeley Earth's analysis, we have it as nominally the second warmest February since record keeping began. That's since 1850. When global records started being viable. We have it as 1.55 plus minus 0.12 Celsius above the 1850 and 1900 average. It's behind 2024, also effectively tied with 2025 and 2016. So it's nominally second, but you could also say it's tied with third and fourth. So it could be sort of any of those would be a equally plausible description. It's much warmer than any February prior to 2016, as this long-term trend will show. It is worth noting that Berkeley Earth, we have it nominally second. Most of the other groups that I've published so far this month, looking at February temperatures, have put it at fourth or fifth. So we are somewhat unusually warm compared to the other groups this time around. And we do note that the error bars are somewhat unusually large this particular month, which I will talk a little bit more about later. Looking now, instead of just February's, looking at the month's changes, February 2026 ticks up noticeably from January and December. Again, it's the second warmest February in our record. And it's warmer than every month since the start of 2025, but not as warm as what we saw during 2023 and 2024. Looking here at a wrap, each year is one line. We see the warming trend, and we see how the February values are near the top of scale that we are. I also note that February 2025 was slightly above 1.5 C. It's the first month that sort of exceeded 1.5 C in a while, though a couple months last year were sort of right at that level. So we'll see where we're going from here. Looking at spatial patterns in February, we note that it is above average temperatures were present nearly everywhere in the globe. Significant warmth was present in North America, Central Asia, Southern Europe, North Africa, parts of the Antarctic, as well as significant parts of the Atlantic Ocean, the Pacific Ocean. Uh, cold, unusually cold conditions for February affected much of Scandinavia, parts of Northern Asia, parts of Northern Canada. And to the extent this is you sort of expect a little bit of displacement. If you have warmth in one place, you often have cold in another place. And that's probably what we're seeing here. And I would note that North America was warm for the month of February, even though we'd started with a cold snap from the January-February cold spell. The month as a whole ended up quite warm. And it's also quite warm in the Middle East. So looking now, not just at whether it's warm or cold, but whether it's set a record, we see about 4% of the globe had record warmth. A significant portion beyond that had near record warmth. In terms of places where people are living, the most significant records for this time around were coming out of the Middle East. We saw record national averages in 14 countries, no areas of record or near record cooling. But the Middle East in particular saw some very large anomalies. This chart here is for Iran, which broke their February national average record by more than 2 degrees Celsius, so more than 3 degrees Fahrenheit, which is quite large for a national average to be broken by. Iraq and Kuwait also set records by more than a degree Celsius, and Saudi Arabia, Qatar, UAE were among other countries in the region setting new records in February. So before I continue, I do want to make a brief statement about the fact we have unusually large error bars this time around. We've been having, since last year, since August of last year, there have been some disruptions with NOAA weather aggregation services that's causing products to not be updated or be degraded in their service. They have been working to repair this, and we have seen gradual improvements, but it is still an ongoing issue for us and for other groups, with fewer weather stations available than we would normally expect. And due to delays that are naturally occur in the most recent months, we also have even fewer month stations immediately present now. We have been working to mitigate this. We've brought in additional data sources. We are working to build real-time collection from additional sources beyond what we have been using so far. And we are potentially raising funds to develop some alternative data aggregation to replace services that NOAA is no longer providing. But to continue, now we look at just the land average, so not including the oceans. It was nominally the second warmest February on land, but effectively tied with 2016 and 2020 for the first warmest. Anywhere in that first to third range would be a very plausible description of what we observed in the last month. 4% of the land surface was locally record warm, and we're about 2.5 degrees Celsius on the land above the pre-industrial baseline. I would note also that it was a sharp tick up from what we saw in January. and from December, it's one of the sharpest anomalies on record. And we tend to have a bit more variability in the sort of winter months, the December, January, February. So these sort of fluctuations are not unheard of, but it is, a sharp deviation. Shifting over to the oceans, we ticked down a bit compared to the last 2 years, but we're still nominally the third warmest year in the ocean, and about 4% of the ocean surface had a locally warm February, locally record warm February. February is similar to January, and both months were warmer than the end of last year. So we have ticked up a little bit from the La Nina-related cooling that occurred at the end of last year. Speaking of La Nina, we are currently in a weak La Nina that appears to be on its way out. It is, we are moving towards neutral, and we are expecting a return to El Nino later in 2026. So just to give you a map, here is the Central Pacific. There is a cool spot associated with La Nina, but it is not very strong or very well organized. So we are not expecting that to continue much longer. The IRI CPC predictions are expecting El Nino to develop more than 80% chance by 6 months from now. If that occurs, El Nino will likely increase global average temperatures in 2026 and especially in 2027. That the biggest effects are likely to be next year if we get an El Nino in this coming fall. And my colleague Zeke has, that label's wrong. My colleague Zeke has prepared a set of forecast plumes, looking at I believe it's 11 weather models, looking at how they're predicting changes in the Central Pacific over coming months. And right now, many of the models are pointing towards a strong or very strong El Nino developing later this year. If such a forecast, comes true, we potentially have a large impact on global temperatures the end of this year and especially in next year. Okay, so moving on to what to expect for the rest of this year. We are currently, sort of in an intermediate state. We're, running warm enough to be second if we continued where we were. We're expecting to continue around where we are, but there's still considerable uncertainty about whether we end up warmer from El Nino or perhaps end up a little bit cooler. Currently, we estimate a 16% chance that 2026 will end up as the warmest year on record. That's an increase from a 10% chance that was estimated in January, but still, not a big change. It is more likely that it ends up at second or third, about a 55% chance that it's the second or third warmest, a 30% chance that it's the fourth warmest, and really no chance of it being anything other than those. That is likely to continue this trend with one of the top 4 years. Okay, so a full report with additional information and graphics should now be online. You follow that link or the QR code. And we will have a briefing on March temperatures scheduled about a month from now in April. And we're happy to take questions about this and other weather and climate related issues.